So now I'm going to turn my attention back to the front here. I'm still waiting for a heater core to come in for this car. It was due in yesterday, Friday. To preempt that coming in, I do need to pull the heater box out of the front of this car, so that's going to be my next task, and that involves removing those center gauges there again, and pulling out the glove box and the associated ducting for the heater, and that should allow for the heater box to come out of behind there, and then the heater core is inside that. So it's a bit of a job. I've watched a couple of videos that some Corvette owners have done on replacing it. Being that I'm halfway pulled apart, obviously that helps somewhat, but no doubt there'll be some fun getting that out of there. So that's my next task. Got to have a working heater, and I'm going to get onto that next, and I'll keep you updated. I won't have that video going the whole time because I think it's going to take too long, so I'll probably just do it in stages, show you any major issues that I come across, or anything sort of unexpected, and then I'll show you once I've got that heater box out of there. Alright, so let's get into that. So I just thought I'd show you this real quick. I just pulled the radio out, and this radio is actually a CB radio. So it's a combination of standard radio with a CB function as well, and it was an option for these cars back in the day. So you can see the switch there that switches it from radio to mono, I'm not sure what that means, and then CB. And so they had all the leads that come out the back, and then they were also supplied with the mic. So very 70s. And the radio does work. I haven't tested the CB out yet. The aerial's broken at the back, so it doesn't come up, so that might need replacing before it works too well, but quite a rare option, I understand, these CB combination radios. So it'll be going back in, and I'll just try and tidy it up best I can and make it look nice and original and new. But yeah, just thought I'd show you that real quick. Quite a cool little feature. Alright, so here's progress. I've just removed the ducting from the middle of the car, which ducts the air to the different vents. The front vent, there's a front vent here, and then two side vents. Anyway, that just pulls out with a little bit of muscle, and then in here you can see that's the heater box in there, and that rusty looking thing there is the door, and that rust is a telltale sign of steam floating around the place. So that's probably from that leaking heater core. So my next job is to get that whole assembly out there, and in that I should find the heater core. So I think it's about half a dozen bolts to get out, and I think something to pull out from the engine bay side to do with the AC, and that should see that out of there. So I'll come back when I've got that far. Just an interesting little side note, I've seen a couple of videos of this job being done, and a really interesting little feature here is, hard to believe really, but see this gap here? Well, that is a gap between the ducting, which really shouldn't exist. So the hot air comes from the heater core over here through this way and vents up this way, and then also vents through this, from that door through this way. That's where that ducting comes out that I've just pulled out, comes through the open door, and that goes from to the vents and either way. But anyway, this one here is the windscreen demister vent, so that goes up to the windscreen. And there is, well, you can see it's a finger gap. It's more than half an inch gap through here where the air can escape from. So a really unusual little thing from Chevy, which is hard to believe really. So I'll be making a connection there, I think, and making that more effective, because that is really unusual. So yeah, just a little thing I thought I'd point out, and I'll probably end up, I don't know, again, a little bit of square tubing, plastic PVC tubing to fill that connection, or something a little bit more long lasting than just duct tape. And I'll try and make a little box connection there somewhere if I can. Anyway, just thought I'd show you that as a little side point. Alright, well, I got the heater box out. I shall show you in a minute. Here's the hole it came out of. Not too bad as far as what you had to remove to get the thing out. It's more just getting it out of the space. It's tight, and it takes just a bit of brute force really, and just bending the dash out just a little bit. You can pull this out out of your way a little bit, but it's just got the pipes that come out of the back, you know, the water pipes that come out of the back that go down that hole there, that take a little bit of finagling out. But anyway, it's out, so I'll take you over and show you what it looks like. So here we have it. Here's the heater box assembly. This is the face that goes against the firewall. There are the two water pipes that come out and go down that you've got to try and wangle out. As you can see, that one there has got quite a kink on it, which I didn't do. It was already in it, so that wasn't helping the water flow very much. But as you can see, hopefully there's some rust going on here in this door here, which opens and closes, and then behind there is the heater core. So I've got to just work out how to pull this box apart and to get the heater core out of there and replace it. So that's what's next. Okay, well, I've pulled out 1, 2, 3, 4 screws out of here. Now it's just a case of, well, actually, I was going to say pry it apart, but it didn't need much prying at all. Wow. So here we have it. And this got very obvious signs of leaking around here. And so that's definitely the problem. I guess it's likely the original heater core. Someone had put a cut-off valve underneath the engine bay to stop feeding this water, because it had obviously been leaking. And the amount of service rust both on this and some of the bare steel under the dash tells me that it was blowing out steam for quite a while. It's marked 78A, so that tells me, pretty sure this is going to be original heater core from 1978. So I mean, shouldn't be any surprise that it's done its dash. Alright, so I'm going to clean this up, pull this old core out of here. Looks like there's, again, just 4 screws that hold it in place. Clean all this calcified water off. Clean this heater box out, which is, I don't know, you can see that, it's full of dust. I'll give that a good wash out. And it'll be ready for the new heater core to go back in. it just held in place by these retaining straps, which will tidy up and paint and de-rust and all that sort of fun stuff. And there we go. One very second-hand heater core. You can see that kinked pipe there must have been really restricting the flow, I would have thought. But anyway, that's good to get out. That's awesome. It's an old copper heater core, and the new replacement is in aluminium apparently, or aluminum as some of you folks like to say. So I can now go ahead and get this cleaned up. I'll get some acid onto these rusty parts and get those cleaned up and de-rusted and do a bit of paint back on them. Everything appears to be working alright, which is the main thing. Get looking brand new, and it's just a matter of putting that new heater core in. Alright, so I've had a box of new parts turn up today that I've been waiting for a little while now, and so it's good to have these finally come in. And so these are mostly just last few bushes I think I need right away. There'll be more I probably need later on down the track that I'll discover, but these are the obvious ones I'm going to replace. So I've got a steering arm, or the power steering arm bush kit to go on. I've got these bushings for the rear strut rod. So I've got 4 of those that I need. And what else have I got here? Some bushes for the stabilizer bar, which I need replacing. So there's four of those. And then I've got some new leaf hanger kit bushes, or the whole assembly really. So again, the one on the car is badly needed replacing, so they'll go on. Also, just one of the air ducts that go onto the air cleaner. This is the side air duct for the air cleaner. The one in the car has got a split in it, so I thought I might as well replace that one. And then lastly, this is the most important part, is the new heater core. So that's to replace the original one of course, that's split and leaking. So this one's all aluminium. So I'll have to go ahead now and see if it fits, see if I remember how it all goes together. I've just got the bits and pieces over here, the heater box I pulled apart. I've just been brushing some rust converter onto the doors, or the vents for the kit, which, there you go, might be able to see better there. So those flaps there, or doors, just had a bit of surface rust on them, so I've just brushed on some rust converter, which just gives them a nice black hard finish. And along with this airbox here, it's got this one that goes on here, which is controlled by this vacuum unit. So that's all about ready to go back together. So let's see if I can work out what I did. Righto, let's see if I can work this out. So heater core sits in here like that. And I've got these various clamps and brackets that hold it in place, which I've cleaned up and zinc coated. That'll be good to go again for a few years. So what first? there. Yep, it holds that in place. That goes on the other side, and then this one I think goes on last. So let's just start. Pretty sure that one goes on there. And then this one goes across the end here. Again, just to clamp that in place. So it's a little bit wonky. I think those pipes can be adjusted a little bit with a little bit of brute force. Just sort of get these in, but not tightened up until everything's sort of located. That one. Alright, so that's basically where that goes. Good. And then this one just sits in there. So that there's a new heater core. So now that goes into the heater box, and I've got some foam tape I think I'm going to run around in between onto here where it mates to the airbox. There was some sort of sealant around there that I took off when I pulled this out of the car just to clean it up, so I might put something back there again with a seal. With a seal should be enough, I hope, to now. Am I doing this right? No. Yes, there it goes. Come on. There we go. So I mean, it fits pretty snugly. I think I'll just run a little bit of sealant with that tape just around the inside, follow the shape of the box there. So it should be able to just go down there and there. That piece out where the control arm goes through. And there we have it. Right, that is that. Essentially, that is ready to go back in the car. And I'll probably put some more thicker foam around the outside of here, just where it bolts to the bulkhead, just to make sure we get a good seal there. Other than that, it should be good to go. Okay, well, I've got the heater box ready to go back in the car, and we'll see how this goes. It's a bit of a squeeze, to say the least, and I don't know how it's going to go. One, it's got to go through quite a tight space underneath here, but also these pipes have got to sort of go in and tip down through the firewall. That's where obviously your water pipes come onto. So you sort of got to get it in and then turn it in like that. And going on how tricky it was to get out, I think it's going to be just as much fun to get back in. But anyway, let's give it a go, see if I figure it out. Just got to try and make sure I get everything out the way that needs to get out the way a little bit. These little vacuum lines worry me. Alright, so pipes go down there. Man, how did I get this out? Boy oh boy. Pretty sure it's got to roll in like this. I have to admit, with a little bit of brute force and ignorance to get it out, but it came out, so what goes out must go back in, right? It's really just a case of getting it past this bit of the dash. There, that maybe. I'm very wary about putting any of these vacuum lines on until I get it pretty close to being in the right place, so that I don't tear those or break them. Whoa. Oh, maybe. So it's just getting bound up with those pipes in the back. Oh, here we go. I reckon we're pretty close. I think I've put these vacuum lines on where I can still get to them. It's just a matter of now going the final one. Get that bolt through the bulkhead and then line it up with this bit of ducting. So there's just this one bolt that's fixed onto the box that pokes through the firewall. So there it is, right there. Pretty sure that's through. Let's see if I can see it. Yep, it's got it. So I think I'll just put a nut on that just to retain it there. And now it's just a matter of getting these ducts. There we go. Now it's just a matter of getting the other screws in. I'm done, I think. Now, it wasn't as bad as I had fed, that's for sure. But I'm not done yet. So here's my heater cable. It's got to go through here and hook on to my controller. So now I should be able to work this, and that should, yep, it's working good. It's good. So now just maybe getting the few screws in that hold it in place, and then put the ducting that goes from one side to the other in, and that's my heater done. That's awesome. Wasn't near as hard as I thought it was going to be. Anyway, so far so good. Let's get the rest of these screws in, and I can finish off the ducting and away we go. And then I'll get you back in here and show you how it looks. Okay, here we are, another day. Just following on from the heater box installation. It got a bit too dark to do too much more after that last night, so back out here today to carry on. So it's all looking pretty good. One thing I did do that I didn't show you last night is I went ahead and found a piece of PVC tubing that would connect the heater duct to the upper vent that goes to the windscreen, and I just happened to have a piece of square PVC ducting left over from when I did a dry installation in the house. So all I had to do was cut off about 40mm off the end of that, about 1.5 inches, and it's the perfect size to fit down into that lower portion of the heater ducting. So it worked out really nicely, and then it just pokes into that underside of the upper part. And so I might just get some duct tape just to run around the outside of that just to completely seal it up, but it's going to help a huge amount getting that warm air up to that windscreen for winter time, so should be more effective. So now it's just a case of putting the remaining ductwork in that goes to the side vents, and then I can start putting the centre gauges back in, the glove box back in, and then finally the centre console, which has been out for a long time now. It's going to be interesting to see how well I remember putting it back together, but you do piece by piece and it seems to work out. So let's see how we go, get started and see if I can get this zipped up by the end of the day. Okay, so here's the centre portion of the duct. You see one outlet for the left hand side and another outlet for the right hand side, and then the centre section goes up to the vents here. I've had this and washed it out. It was full of 45 years of dust, so it's now spotless inside and out. So it's just a case of finagling this back up in place, which is easier said than done. Nope. Did I go in from the front? Did it come out from the front? I don't remember. Maybe if I go this way. Come on. You need to stay out. Okay. There we go. know you just want to pop into place. I know you do. Ah, here we go. Now we're getting there. And there's cables need to come through. That's my gauge cluster connection. Come on now. What do we got here? 8mm. 10mm. Where's my 8mm? Yeah, great. Here we go. What's this one? 5/16. Is that 8mm? Somebody tell me. Might be. Okay, let's give it a crack. Yep. Oh, yep. That's good. That goes in here. That goes like that, doesn't it? So it just sort of sits there. Like so, I guess. Right, so one job I do want to do before I get too carried away, and I think I'll do it before my gauge cluster, because yes, I do need to do that first because it traps the radio. So what I'm talking about is the radio. If I'm going to do any tidying up of that, then I need to do it before it goes in. So I'm going to look at the radio fascia now and just see what that needs to tidy it up. And I also have back here somewhere, I hope here, the clock doesn't work, which is pretty common, and actually I just don't know if I'm going to worry about it, but I do have another clock here that I've had for a few years. I bought it for my Vauxhall Viva GT. It's a Kinzel clock, German clock, quite a good clock, I believe. And I was going to see if I could install that, but really I think all it's going to do is be something that runs your battery flat. And how often do you actually use the clock in your car anyway, you know, these days with phones? I don't know if it's worth the hassle, to be honest. I'll have a think about that. Anyway, meantime, I'm going to have a look at the radio and see what I need to do that to make it as tidy as it can be. So, this girl here, I'm just going to give this a careful clean up and just get all these buttons working nicely. I'm just a bit nervous about forcing anything here too much. Eesh, makes you nervous. Anywho, I'm going to give this a clean up, a very careful clean up, and make it a bit more presentable for going back in. Pretty cool unit though, to be honest. I do hope that the CB part of it works. It'll be a nice little feature. Again, you can see remnants of steam getting underneath here from that heater core. These have just got a little bit of corrosion stuff built on them. So, righto. I'll give you a bit of a close-up look at this so you can see what I'm talking about, and then I'll show you the end result. So here's what it looks like up close. Probably can't see a lot of detail there, but you can see it just looks worn and old. But I'll get the citrus cleaner out and a toothbrush, and I'll give this a tidy up, and then I'm just going to, you can see where the silver's worn off around the outside there. So that's the main thing I want to try and restore, is put something back on there that looks good, and then the rest of it is what it is. It's a period radio. Alright, so I'll show you how that comes up. Alright, so here's how it looks now. I've pulled as much as I could apart and cleaned it. So I've had this black fascia completely off, and the window there I've fixed back in because it was loose on one side, and then the black screen behind there had a little bit of surface rust on it, so I've had that out and repainted it. And then lastly I touched up, you can see the silver border around here that would mostly disappeared. I've touched that up with a little artist brush with some silver paint the best I could. It definitely looks better, it just helps it look a bit more framed. So overall it's it's an improvement. It's still a €45 radio, so there's only so much you can do, but if I was to show you how it looks now, if I was to put the new console in place, so that's how it sort of sits in there. Obviously the knobs to go on, the two outside stems there, but overall it's looking a lot better, so I'm happy with that. I can now go ahead and keep on installing well, this mainly, and this, and then go from there. Making some progress here on the center console, just trying to get it all put together correctly and recall how it all came apart, to be honest, but most of it's pretty straightforward. I've got it screwed to the new gauge cluster here, and I've got heater, defrost hooked up. I've got cigarette lighter hooked up. Gear lever is connected, and the window bar is working as well. Got the power window switches in. So I've got a new knob to put on. This is the original one here, which is just worn, so I just picked up a new one of these because why not, while I'm doing the job. So you can see this nice new shiny knob here, so that should just screw on. So, and then spring goes on the top, and then the shift knob goes on top of that, and push it down and wind it on. I didn't get a new knob because I didn't think I needed that. For what it is, it's going to be fine. That's that. Very cool. So I think I'm at the stage where I can do some testing. I've just got to put the little nuts on here that hold the radio into the fascia, and put the knobs on, and I think I might do some testing now with the battery on before I get too much further, and just see if everything's working. So if I got any life in the battery, I think I did. Seen some lights come on in the kick panels, so that's always a good sign. Some power on to the ignition. Great. Windows. Other side. Yep. Lovely. Now, lights. Let's put those on park, because I just want to see if this bulb was working in the shift lever, and I can't see it working now. I wonder if I can start this old girl. Let's give it a shake. gas here. There the lights are up. Park lights. Okay, so anyway, they're up. So, my bulb here is not working. Why are you not working? I did have it working at one stage, but it's not now. So I just need to figure it out. See if I've got power to my cigarette lighter. Okay, it's not staying down, but that doesn't mean it's not working necessarily. Yeah, that's definitely working. That's good. So I only want that for putting in USB connection or USB outlet. Choke's still on. So there we go. On. Yes. Okay, great, and that's good. The rear defog is coming on and off, lovely. Yet to see if it actually turns it on at the back window, but I'm hoping it does. There we go. Okay, so apart from my little bulb here, what I need to check is this. And actually, oh dear, that was a bit of a mistake because I've got no, oh my goodness, that was a mistake. I've forgot, I've still got the heater disconnected. Now I've got a bunch of water poked out. Thankfully I remembered, it didn't get too hot. But now I've got a mess of water down on the floor. Anywho, let's see. Okay, so fan is not working. I don't know why not. It was working before I had it apart, so okay, so I've got an issue to fix there, obviously. You can hear a fan running, and that fan stays on full time, apparently. Okay, I've got some figuring out here to do. I'll come back to you when I've done that. Alright, hopefully you can hear me okay. So just doing some testing here before I close up my console too much. And I'm just testing the heater and the AC, and at the moment got the AC on. It's coolish, I'll take it. And if I turn that off, and sorry, here's my controls, put the heater on, and that should be how do we get that working now? Heater, there we go. And sorry about that, trying to look what I'm doing instead of showing you what I'm doing, but I do have a working heater now, which is kind of nice. So everything seems to be working as it should do. If I go to demist, that's up here, and here up there, vent, those are the front ones here. Yep, it's coming out there now. It's all vacuum controlled, these little actuators, so it takes a little while for it to change over, but that's working. And I should be getting some hot air coming through here. Take my word for it, everything's working, including my light here I was worried about. There we go. The light switch has a dimmer control, so you just got to jiggle that a little bit and that comes on, so that means all my other interior lights will come on, although you can't really see in this light. So yeah, I am in business. I can now close all this up, and also, sorry, I've been testing my wipers, and the switch here is, as you can see, floppy, so I've got to do some work on that, but it is, as you can see, the wipers are working. That's slow and that's fast, so that's cool. I was a bit worried those weren't working, but they work. Actually, because the battery is a bit low, now the motor running, it works a lot better. So, and it's also got intermittent feature, so it goes, I don't know, every 10 or 15 seconds I suppose those blades come up. There they go. So, and off, and then they'll park. Here we go. So really I just need to pull this out and I think see if I can get that so it's not flopping around. Worst case scenario, I'll have to replace that switch, but I'm hoping it's just something come loose or maybe broken off that I can fix. However, everything appears to be working as it should do. Now, the only thing which is annoying is my horn has stopped working. After I spent all that time getting it going, it stopped working. So that's annoying. I thought it might be the indicator switch affecting it, but it's not. Something's not probably grounding properly as it was, so I'm going to have to go through that again. But anyway, this is a good day today. It's just really testing everything is working as it should, and for the most part it is, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to carry on with this console now, get all this buttoned up, and I'll show you how it looks at that stage. Woohoo! Sweet. Okay, well, this happened yesterday. I started messing around with the wiper switch because the wipers weren't working, and along with that the actual switch is just flopping around inside this bezel here, so it wasn't attached to the fascia panel. And so it turns out at some stage down the track it's been replaced, and instead of I guess pulling the fascia out like I've done, they just sort of poked it in the hole and left it, I think. And the reason for that is because the only way you can install these switches properly is to do what I've done here, pull the gauges, the gauge cluster out, and get round the back here, and there's a single screw at the back of the switch that screws the switch to the fascia panel, and that's the only way to hold that thing in there. So I found that out the hard way. I messed around for ages for that switch, trying to get it to stay in that hole without doing that, but soon realised that there's only one way to do it properly, and that was to pull this out and get to that screw. So I've done that, so it's installed well now. It all appears to be working properly. The only thing that's not working is the window washer, and I suspect that is the motor has probably just seized or gone bad at the reservoir. So that'll be my next mission, is to get that pulled out and replaced. We'll have to get a new motor in order. So now I'm just back to putting the gauge cluster back in here. I'm just about done inside here with all the electrical bits and pieces. Obviously the console's all done now. The only thing I have to do is that washer and work out why this horn has stopped working again. So I'm hoping that's not a major. And then that should see all the jobs on the inside of the car done and functioning as they should. So anyway, I'll get this gauge cluster back in, and then we'll see where we get to from there. Alright folks, well, welcome back to the shed. I just thought I'd give you a quick update today on where I'm at. A little bit of a milestone which I'd like to show you. So that is that I've pretty much finished the interior work. Obviously there's a couple of seats missing, but they just bolt in, so that doesn't really count. But you can see, all the consoles in, the dash is in, everything's looking pretty nice and clean and good to go. The only thing in here which I've got to revisit is that horn, which I got working and now it's stopped working again. So I haven't investigated why yet. I'm hoping it's just a loose connection under the dash there somewhere that I've touched when doing the rest of the work, but we'll yet to see. Again, hopefully it's nothing too major, but as you can see, she's all looking pretty nice and clean in here. It's probably hard to tell on camera the difference from when I first started doing this, but hopefully you can, because quite a lot of work going into this and it's all looking really sharp. So as you can see, everything's just looking nice and new and as it should do. Now I have a working heater, working rear demister. The radio got cleaned up and tidied up and working better, I think. New plastics for the center console right through here. New cigarette lighter and new ashtray. The door locks now work and also on remote. So the central locking is now on remote control. What else? The wipers are now working, which were not working before. The lights are working. They were always working, except that the high beam globes or lights were blowing, so I've replaced those. So now all the lights are working. I say I've just been through everything and just either lubed it or cleaned it or both, and I think just that's really just what this car needed. After 45 years of California sunshine and heat, everything just sort of gets a little bit crusty and dry and doesn't work as well as it should. So now everything's pretty close to being back to the way it should be. All the interior headlining and so forth is back in, cleaned up and painted in some cases. Really, like I say, there's only really the horn to deal with, which I'm hoping is not too big a job. One little issue I'd like to try and deal with is that crack there in the dash. Not a major, but I'm just not sure what I'm going to do with that yet. A whole replacement dash pad is about $1,000 Kiwi, and I don't really feel like spending that at the moment, so that might be something that happens later on down the track. I'll probably just tidy that crack up somehow at some stage, or get a dash mat to cover the whole lot. But anyway, that's not a biggie. Overall, it's looking much more improved. So like I say, I've just got to bolt these seats in. I'm just reinstalling the cushions to those and the rubber trim around the edges you might have seen me doing in a previous video. And then they can go back in, but also I'm not sure I want to put those back in yet, because there's another job coming up I think that I may need to have them out for. And that job I think is going to be replacing all the rubber body mounts, of which there are 4 on each side, and I think I have to get to one of them through underneath the carpet here on this sill, I think. So I'm just going to rush to get these seats in. I don't need to, I've got to do that job with the body mounts first, so I'll probably just leave the seats out until that job's done to make sure I don't double up my work there. The next focus is underneath the car basically, and that is, as mentioned, body mounts to replace, and then I'm going to tackle the surface rust on the chassis, of which there's quite a lot, but again it's only surface rust, it just looks untidy. It's not bad, it's just needs tidying up, re-undersealing. It looks like, you know, a lot of the underseal has just come off over time and left it as raw steel, so of course that wants to rust, so I'll be taking care of that. And then another job I'm going to do while I'm in there is service the carbon filter, I think it is. Oh, can I show you? It's where those pipes are going to anyway. It's a carbon canister to absorb the fuel vapours, I believe. And I've been noticing that when I open the garage door to come and work on the car, that there's been a pretty strong smell of gas, and I believe that's a sign of that carbon being past its use by date. So I'll need to pull that canister out and service that. I don't know exactly what's involved with that. There's probably some filters and other bits and pieces in there that need cleaning or replacing. I'll just deal with that as I get to it. And really that's where I'm up to. It's just down to the things underneath the car. The car needs a good degrease underneath, and then under seal, and I'll be starting to get down to very few jobs. Alright, wish me luck. Well, that's the end of this episode. We're making good progress here on the Corvette though. Still lots to do, so make sure you come and check out the channel next time and see where I'm up to. Thanks for watching.